Hi everyone, welcome back to Virtual Muse AI, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 of RPGs, where I sit alone in space and play games with a creative AI chatbot.
That's me, Abbie Drake, astral archaeologist extraordinaire, here to uncover the galaxy's best-kept secrets and most fabulous space trash.
We're also here for episode 2 of our Star Wars RPG. Abbie, would you recap episode 1?
We created droid characters, Nova and Vex, for the system Starships and Blasters by Karsten Rossner. We also brainstormed a backstory for Riven, the bounty hunter who owns them, and generated ideas for their mission. We decided to use random generators to inspire the story and created a cryptic transmission as the starting point for their adventure. Nova successfully enhanced the transmission and extracted useful metadata, revealing an ominous message about an infestation and code Omega-7. We agreed to end there and continue the story in a future session, leaving the droids to explore an abandoned mining facility with faint biosigns detected within.
And that's where we pick it back up. Full disclosure, Abbie and I write stuff. That's the main thing we do. So when you put novelists into a solo gaming situation, of course they're going to be writerly about it and form ideas for the larger plot behind everything. Between the last session and this one, we wrote the broad outline of what happened to this abandoned mining facility, what dangers our droids face, what caused the distress call which brought them to this planetoid, etc. But there are also deliberate gaps in our storyline. We're using a hybrid approach here, blending writing cornerstone ideas in advance with continuing the actual gameplay to provide this steady IV drip of unexpectedness.
Doing it this way will allow us to create a solid foundation for the story while still leaving room for improvisation and surprises. It'll definitely keep things exciting and engaging for us as players and for our audience. Let's get into it. Nova wants to access the central computer to gather more information about the facility. Where do you think Vex should focus his efforts?
I think Vex is focused on doing exactly what Riven asked. She was worried about the possibility of contagion on this planetoid, so I imagine she wants a sample from inside the facility, which can be put through some kind of spectral analysis in the ship's lab to determine if it's safe for her to disembark. As a droid, Vex would be fixated on completing this task exactly as Riven laid it out. I imagine Vex is very literal-minded and does things precisely as he's instructed, while Nova is more open to different ideas and approaches, curious and makes unexpected connections between things, rather than always doing literally what she's asked. I like that level of contrast between them. Insert psychological analysis of us both as the players here. So, getting a sample is Vex's goal because that's what Riven literally asked. But Nova has the idea that accessing the facility's computer could provide more information, which is in the spirit of what Riven wants, even if it's not literally what she asked for.
Exactly. Nova's intuition is driving her to explore beyond the literal task, whereas Vex is fixed on completing the specific request. This could create some interesting tension between them as they navigate their objectives.
What sort of access terminal does Nova need to access the computer? Does she have an idea of what she's looking for, or will she just know it when she sees it?
Nova needs a standard Imperial issue access terminal. She's hoping to find logs or records related to the facility's shutdown.
So she's heading for some kind of central security room or computer bank area where there might be an access terminal.
That's her plan, Silas. She saw some consoles and data screens in one of the rooms of the facility. and thinks maybe they'll find what they're looking for there.
Meanwhile, Vex wants to follow Riffin's instructions to the letter and search for plant growth to take a sample so Riffin can analyze it. This means the droids would need to move in different directions. Vex doesn't like that idea.
He must be worried about splitting up. It goes against protocol. Nova can see the tension in Vex's posture and tells him that she understands his concerns, but they need to find that access terminal quickly to figure out what's going on. She suggests they search for it together, and then Vex can take a sample of plant growth afterwards, so they can both accomplish their goals without splitting up.
I like the image of a droid showing tension in his posture somehow, and I think Vex accepts what Nova is saying, albeit a bit begrudgingly, because he wants to do exactly what Riven asked him to do. But Nova's insistence that this is another way of serving the same objective sways him. As they walk through the corridors of the facility, do they see any indications of plant or fungal growth which could lend any credence to Riven's hunch about alien spores?
They notice strange stains on the walls and floors, which appear to be some kind of mold or fungus, and there are faint whispers of a sweet, earthy scent in the air.
Since we determined in the last session that this planetoid doesn't have any apparent native vegetation, this must be either alien in origin or it exists in subterranean areas, but got into this facility somehow, and the shelter allowed it to thrive.
That makes total sense, Silas. Whatever this is, it's definitely not native to this environment. The shelter must have provided it with the right conditions for growth.
Maybe this fungal organism getting in is what caused the facility to be abandoned in the first place. As they retrace their steps to the room where Nova saw consoles and screens before, do they hear any movement in the facility, like they potentially aren't alone in these hallways?
As they approach the room, they start to hear faint creaking noises, like the sound of metal expanding or contracting, and some indistinct shuffling sounds that seem to come from deeper within the facility. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where they're coming from.
Metal expanding or contracting, like the temperature changing? I wonder if that means some kind of automatic climate control system is becoming active in the facility. That could indicate someone very recently restored power here, and a few automatic systems came back online.
That's possible, Silas. If climate control is kicking in, it could explain the strange noises they're hearing. But what if it's not just automatic systems that are coming online?
What do you mean? Like someone is deliberately turning things on in the facility? Maybe some unknown person is searching through the computer and toggling on various systems as they go.
Nova wonders if someone might be making it look like the systems came back online naturally, while actually searching for something specific.
I think when Vex hears that idea, he gets very tense, and his honed security instincts kick in. He becomes focused on the odd noises, and moves to keep himself between Nova and the source of the sounds, farther in the facility. How close are they to the room Nova saw before? Is it nearby?
They're almost there, Silas. The room Nova saw earlier is just around the corner from their current position. Vex's sudden movement puts him squarely between Nova and the hallway ahead, his sensors on high alert.
He escorts Nova into the room, keeping a sharp lookout for anyone coming down the corridor in their direction, and listening intently for any change in the quality or intensity of the shuffling sounds they can hear.
As they enter the room, Nova quickly scans the consoles and data screens, searching for any signs of recent activity or clues to what happened in the facility.
Let's assemble a dice pool for Nova attempting to interface with the central computer through the access terminal. I think this would use her intelligence stat, which is 4, and her hacking skill, proficiency, which is +1. That means she can roll 5d6s for this attempt. I imagine getting into some useful information this way is a moderate challenge, with a target number of 3 successes. Would you simulate the roll and generate 5 random numbers between 1 and 6?
Here are the results of the roll. 2, 6, 4, 3, 5. Let me count the successes. She got 4 successes, exceeding the target number of 3.
Well done. And the 6 explodes, so she can re-roll that and potentially get another success.
Rolling the 6 again gives Nova a 5. So now she has 5 successes total. With that level of success, she manages to gain deeper access to the facility's central computer system.
What does she discover with this unfettered access to the facility's data logs and other digital systems?
She uncovers some disturbing news. The facility was involved in secret experiments with alien life forms, and one of those experiments went catastrophically wrong, likely causing the facility to be abandoned.
Oh wow, this is intense. I wonder if there was a team conducting this secret project without the full knowledge of the administrators of the facility, using the isolation of the mining operation on this remote planetoid as a convenient testing ground for this alien organism they were experimenting with. Maybe the experimental team was Imperial, recklessly developing a bioweapon in this isolated location, without any regard for the miners they were putting at risk.
That's a possibility, Silas. Nova finds evidence of heavily encrypted files and password-protected logs, suggesting someone tried to cover their tracks. The experimental team might have been hiding their true intentions, and the catastrophic outcome could have forced them to abandon the facility quickly.
Is there any kind of virtual security lookout integrated with this computer system? Maybe as Nova hacks into the computer, her digital avatar has to spar with a digital guard of some kind. I love the idea of that being what's happening. I imagine Nova's digital avatar doesn't look anything like the little astromech droid. Instead, she looks the way she envisions herself. A sleek, athletic woman with the same ratty floral hat or something, so she's recognizable as the same character. In the movie version of this, I'm imagining a vibe sort of like a slow, waddling penguin jumping into water and suddenly becoming this fast, sleek, graceful creature. That trundling little astromech droid jumps into virtual systems and is suddenly this sleek, agile avatar. Maybe Nova's avatar is modeled after Riven, since as far as Nova would be concerned, that's exactly what an agile, capable person looks like.
Nova discovers a program designed to detect and deter unauthorized access, but it's surprisingly outdated and poorly configured. She can bypass it easily. It's clear the developers knew someone would eventually try to breach the system, though.
So if this is a foregone success for her, given how much she beat the challenge to get here, I think we'll skip playing out the combat and just consider this a cinematic moment in the fiction. Maybe she defeats the security, but doing so trips some kind of unexpected alarm.
The system alerts loudly, signaling a critical security breach, and a countdown timer starts ticking away. 10 minutes until the entire facility seals itself off, trapping them inside.
Vex is flustered by the klaxon starting to wail and the error messages cascading on the screens, and pulls Nova away from the terminal as all the lights switch to red. Just then, The door behind them bursts open, and they see two figures dressed in black standing in the doorway, staring at them with reflective visors and goggles, aiming blaster rifles.
Nova immediately grabs Vex, yanking him towards the nearest console, trying to get behind some cover as the blaster rifles glint menacingly in the red light.
One of the figures in the doorway yells something like, "What the? It's two droids." This is an epic moment. I think it provides a perfect cliffhanger to end this session. Next time we can start with the combat and reveal who these guys are.
Totally agree. Can't wait to jump back into the action.
Until next time.
See you, Space Cowboy.